Hello, everyone. Welcome back once again. I am Nicodemus Kane. Today is March the 2nd of 2023. Not only is it a mirrored number, 3223, we are also one day before a 33, March the 3rd, so 3323. 3-3-2023 actually, so that's a 2-2-3 within itself. I'm not going to get too much into numerology today, and I was actually reading a couple of old posts that I had made about 2 or 3 years back, and I was thinking about all the people that wanted to tell me that numerology meant nothing. And that's fine. You don't have to believe it. It's a hard thing to believe unless you really, really look at it and really, really understand it. Because they've gone out of their way to show you in the real world that all these numbers mean nothing. They don't really do anything for you. They're just numbers. They're just a tool. But somebody is using this tool against you. They have these numbers that have been set in place for years in the background, hidden in places where you wouldn't know. And it just so happens that events happen to line up with the same exact numbers over and over again. Whether it is caused by man or whether it is caused by God, something in this world is telling you these numbers mean something. But again, not many people want to listen to it. Not many people want to even follow it, and that's fine. And I'm not the best numerology guy. There are plenty of others that are out there that they will dig so far down into the numbers that you can't resist the idea that there's something more going on here. The biggest one I could tell you, if you really want to find out, there's a guy called Mini Fishers. I think it's what his name is, or Mini Fish. Maybe that's what it is. I don't remember. He's on YouTube. I haven't seen him in a while. He doesn't do as much as he used to. He was doing it day by day, pretty much, back in like 2018, 2019. But he scaled back a lot. But just watching what he does, the numbers that he sees, the gematria of specific names and places that pop up in the news, he's able to somehow pull that out, pull those numbers out, and they all line up, they all match up. He's able to see things that I couldn't even fathom seeing. He's not the only one. I've seen guys that are way off the charts with the ability to be able to see and discern numbers. Guys that have gotten so good at it, they don't even need a gematria calendar anymore. They can look at a name and tell you what the number is. So if you are interested in that, I'm not the guy. I'm really not the guy. There are other ones out there, and there are a lot of videos out there against it as well. There are a lot of guys that will say, gematria is nothing. It's just a thing that, people had, and these numbers mean nothing. But it's the connections. Again, it's the puzzle pieces. It's the way that these things go together, fit together. That's where you start to see it. I mean, on its surface, again, it means nothing. I mean, really, it's just, one guy's name here and the town of a city here, they mean nothing. But when their gematria works together and you find out that this guy was doing something in this city at this time on this date, and all three of those numbers line up, there's something more to it. But I'm not here for numerology. I just wanted to say that tomorrow's a 3-3. I actually said that when did I do that? 2 years ago, 3 years ago? I made a warning on Facebook that, March the 3rd is coming up. It's funny, though, in 2019, I had made a post, I remember, in the middle of the year, I had made a post that people were talking about November the 3rd, 11/3. And nothing happened in 11/3. Yet, something happened on March the 11th of 2020. And I could have just pulled my hair out. I just was like, there it was. There it was right there. It is a mirror inverse. This whole system, this whole evil beast system that they have created, there is an inverse of good. These could very well be God's numbers that he is pointing us to. At the same time, they take it and they will twist it and manipulate it into something else. I don't know how it works. It is an entire numerological system that is in place in this world that I could not even fathom right now. But it's there. So all I can do is just point out the warnings. Today is an inverse number, 3223. Tomorrow is a 33. This is the year of the skull and bones, 223. It's 322. 322 is their number, 223 is the inverse. Just be careful. Everything is created and manipulated by evil men who want nothing more than to snare and entrap you into darkness and evil. Your Bible says that. Speaking of your Bible, today is Jeremiah 52. This is the end of Jeremiah. I'm kind of avoiding it because I really don't want Jeremiah to end. This has been a really good journey through this book. I learned a lot. I really did. I've learned an absolute lot. We've learned that even in the days of Jeremiah, no matter how much he tried to warn the people, no matter how much he tried to speak out against evil, no matter how much God told him, just keep going. Even if he wasn't a learned man, even if he wasn't a political man, even if he wasn't a priest, God took him and he said, go show the people this and tell them this is what I'm going to do to them. Go tell the people this and say this was from me. Go make sure they understand this. And he tried, and he tried, and he tried. He was pulled as a kid. Some places that we looked at said that he was as young as 8. Some of the places I looked at said that he was about 17 or 18. There's a timeline to the whole thing, so, I don't know. I just know that it said at the very beginning, when he was but a child, God chose him, told him, said, go show them this, go show them that. But every step of the way, they would not listen. They would shame his name, try to shut him up, threw him in prison, tried to kill him first, and then he got thrown in prison because the king basically said, there's no reason for you to kill this guy other than the fact that he's just talking. Here, instead of killing this guy, let's just throw him in prison. You don't have to kill this guy. Over and over and over again. So much so that when everything came to pass And the Babylonians, who saw this man, they had nothing to do with him. They decided to just let him walk free. Because God willed it. Because God said, you're going to keep preaching what I tell you to preach. You're not done yet. Keep going out and talking to the people. Keep telling them. That's what he kept doing. And nobody would listen. They went out of their way to say, nope, we're not going to listen to you. Nope, you're just another one of those false prophets. You're just trying to get us into trouble. You're trying to get us to go here. You're trying to get us to do that. You're not learned enough. You're not wise enough. You're not one of our I don't want to say elected officials. Well, maybe they were, because again, God said if you choose to elect your own officials, all of these bad things will come down upon your head. That's what God said. He said, I will give you a king if you want it, but you don't get to pick your own people. But they kept saying, you're not someone we can trust. Therefore, your word means nothing. So we would not listen to you. And it started out at the very beginning. He was going line by line, action by action. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. God says, do not do this. He didn't even have to say all that, because every time he said that, he also said, God says, do not do as the heathens do. But they didn't care. They kept going on and on. They took pleasure in going against God's word. They took pleasure in not listening to someone that God sent to them. They took pleasure in their unrighteousness. Therefore, they fell. And all Jeremiah could do was just go along for the ride and keep speaking God's word. He was protected from one point to the next, every step of the way, and nobody listened to him. And in the end, they almost all died. There was still a remnant, because God told them, I will always keep a remnant. And then everything fell apart. And then it got to the point, just like Isaiah, Jeremiah started talking about the end days, because God sends us a warning. And right now you have a lot of people. Well, you've had people for years that have been talking about this stuff, warning over and over and over again. Some of them have taken it to the point to where they have said, this is going to happen on this date at this time. Well, no one knows. No one knows. Not even Christ knew. No one knew the day or the hour. But we know the season. We know the signs. We know how it's coming. So God sends people out to warn everyone. I do my best not to put myself in that category, because every single time I read something like that where it says you wouldn't listen to my prophets that would wake up early in the morning to warn you, that's when you hear that and you put it in context of your own life and you say, this is I've been doing this for 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, waking up as early as possible if I wasn't working overtime, sacrificing sleep, sacrificing all of this because God told me to wake up early in the morning and record me reading Bible passages. You hear that and you start thinking, that you're a little bit more than you think you are. And I'm trying my best not to be that guy, just to say, hey, I am nothing special. Even though the Bible clearly does say that he has sent his people out to wake up early in the morning to warn the people, I am not that special. I am a nobody, just like Jeremiah. I was a child when he grabbed me and pulled me through, and I am definitely not trying to become puffed up because of it. I just know that I am not the only one, and I hear so many now that are waking up to it, and they're trying, and no one's listening. And you got so many people out there that want to keep saying, oh, everybody's waking up to it. Everybody's waking up to the evil things that are happening. And it's like, no, they may be waking up to the evil, but they're not doing anything about it. They're not waking up to anything. These people are still asleep. There's still way too much evil in this world for these people to do anything. There is a darkness, a pure, unfettered darkness in this world that people are not waking out of because they choose to live in their unrighteousness. And that's so sad. It is so sad. But we have learned a lot. Jeremiah has always been, really, one of my favorites. I love going through this. Again, it's the reason why it's almost right dead smack middle in the Bible, is that you can open up the book, and you usually open up a book right towards the middle, give or take, and you will hit Jeremiah or Isaiah, possibly Ezekiel. Ezekiel's a little bit further back, but still. And what these do, these books tell you how bad things had become. They tell you the evils that God doesn't want you to do. And then it tells you what God is planning on doing if you don't change your ways. And that, more than any other part of this Bible, should show you what you need to know. Everybody says, oh, well, we should only need to worry about the New Testament. The New Testament is all you need to worry about. Just worry about what Christ taught. What did Christ teach? He taught you everything that came before that point. He taught you the words of the prophets. Who were the prophets? Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, Moses. Those were your prophets. Those were the ones that you should be worried about. We should follow in Christ's footsteps, yes, and we should do as Christ told us, yes. We should listen to what he said. But his word came from their word. And Jeremiah and Ezekiel and Isaiah, they weren't that far removed. You talk about whenever Christ talked about the law of man, he was removed from that by 1,000 years, give or take, 800. I don't remember how much it was. Jeremiah was only about 300 years off. I mean, he was right there right on top of him. So you're either going to understand that this is the stuff we need to hear, or you're going to ignore it because the church, the modern religious church, tells you don't need to listen to it, and you're going to follow just like everybody else. This is the stuff. This is the good stuff. The stuff that we needed to hear. Now, I am not going to say that Jeremiah 52 is going to be any groundbreaking anything. I've come to find that most of these chapters, they don't end very well. I mean, you want to have, a good focused ending that you can grab onto and go with. But most of these, they don't end well. They just kind of just drop off, and you're just like, I wanted more. I have a feeling this is going to be the same way. I know I've heard it before. I know I've read it before. But it's not coming to mind. That's why we're rereading it. That's why I read it twice. That way maybe it'll get back into my head. I will admit, I dropped off the Bible study when the COVID hit. That so much so that, you know, I've forgotten a lot. You know, I've had 3 years of, it's just been nothing but COVID. It's just been nothing but listening to, you know, how much the governments of the world are trying to manipulate us and destroy us. That, you know, I should have kept my head down in the book, but I didn't. But God has been doing his damnedest to pull me back into it. That's why we're reading. That's why we're doing it. So anyways, let's read Jeremiah 52. And let's finish it out. Like I said, I don't want to finish it. Because it's been so good. I've learned so much. I really have. But we got to finish it. It's got to be done. We got to move on to other things. It's Jeremiah 52. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he did that which was evil in the eyes of the Lord, according to all that Jehoiakim had done. For through the anger of the Lord it came to pass in Jerusalem and Judah, till he had cast them out from his presence, that Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. There's a pilker right there, 4. Which it already looks like 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, it looks like it's a lot better than the last one, where we had, what was it, 58 verses before we finally got a pilker. Sheesh. Alright, let's start back up at the top. I don't know why I'm actually getting a little emotional. I don't know why. Zedekiah was 120 years old, 21, when he began to reign. And he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. So he was 32. And his mother's name was Hamutal. Let me see. I looked it up before and it said Hamutal. It's a C. Hamutal. Hamutal. It's probably a guttural. But her name says father-in-law is protection. So whoever her father-in-law was, it doesn't say, but it says that she was the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. This is not Jeremiah the prophet. This is Jeremiah of Libnah. So his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. All right. And he did that which was evil in the eyes of the Lord, according to all that Jehoiakim had done. For through the anger of the Lord it came to pass in Jerusalem and Judah, till he had cast them out from his presence, that Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. They kept fighting back. God told them, do not fight against the king. Do not fight against the Babylonians. They're going to come. They're going to take you into captivity. If you go into captivity, you will be just fine. But if you fight back, I will bring the sword and the famine and the pestilence and all the other stuff against you, because you have been bad. You have not done my works. You have not listened to my words. You have fallen away into evil and darkness. All the stuff I kept telling you not to do, and you did it anyways. So I'm going to bring all this stuff onto you. And because of that, I will keep you and protect you. I promised I would keep you and protect you if you get taken captive. But if you choose to fight back against this, well, I ain't got nothing for you. So it angered the Lord that Zedekiah kept rebelling against the king of Babylon. Verse 4, and it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadrezzar, the king of Babylon, came, he and all his army, against Jerusalem, and pitched against it, and built forts against it round abouts. So the city was besieged until the 11th year of King Zedekiah. And in the 4th month, in the 9th day of the month, the famine was sore in the city, so that there was no bread for the people of the land. Then the city was broken up, and all the men of war fled, and went forth out of the city by nights, by the way of the gates between the two walls, which was by the king's garden. Now the Chaldeans were by the city round abouts, and they went by the way of the plain. And there's another pilcrow at 8, so back up to verse 4. And it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, and I had to go look this up because I kept thinking, well, we kept talking about the 4th year of somebody's reign. But no, it was in the 4th year of Jehoiakim's reign that Jeremiah kept coming around and kept saying, this is this, this is that. That's the year that he was thrown into prison. And then Zedekiah took over. And it was in the 9th year of his reign that Babylon finally came and conquered Jerusalem. At least I think that's the timeline that's right. I was thinking about it before I actually started recording. What if I made like a timeline just to see? I know there's other people that have timelines on the internet that you could just look up and just, be like, hey, there it is right there. I'd rather do it myself, to be honest. But there are very specific timelines going on here so that you can understand what's going on. I wouldn't mind trying that. I have it's like an art book. It's a hardcover art book that has just blank pages. I think it's like 100, 200 pages, just blank. And what I've always wanted to do is just make it like the Grail Diary from, Last Crusade, Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade, and just have that be like everything I've learned in the Bible. Just write it down inside of there. Like, genealogies, timelines, everything. Everything that I could think of to put in there, and then try to put cross references to Apocrypha and, the other books. Just page by page, just have it all scribbled together and just have it be like a, just a diary of everything I've learned and be able to pass that down to somebody somewhere along the line. I keep thinking I was going to do that, but I just don't do it. I don't have the time much anymore. I should just do that. Like take an hour like every Saturday or so and just do it. It's so hard to find time to do anything anymore. We have so much stuff going on. But it came to pass, and this is verse 4 again, it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadrezzar, king of Babylon, came, he and all his army, against Jerusalem, and pitched against it, and built forts against it round abouts. So the city was besieged unto the 11th year of King Zedekiah. Hold on. It is not a Nicodemus Kane video until Nico is sneezing. Especially now. It's right before spring. It's starting to get warmer out. Things are starting to bud. My March allergies are starting to come in. Not to mention that we have to start opening up the windows and start cleaning out the house. You know, spring cleaning. Did I mention you do spring cleaning? Because it's something that the Hebrews used to do. That they were told by God to clean out all of the leaven in their house right after the year changed, or right as the year changed, I guess, so that they can go into the new year with no leavening in their house. It's spring cleaning. That's what that is. You get rid of all the crap that you built up for the past year, all the dust, all the dirt, all the crap, so that you can start the new year. That's spring cleaning. You know why people like to go camping in September and October? It's the Feast of Tabernacles. It's the 1 week where the Hebrews were told that they should go out and they should live in tents. It's amazing how these things have been there forever and nobody really thinks about it. They're not considered holidays because this place doesn't will it to be holidays. These are just things that people do. Not everybody does spring cleaning, but people know what spring cleaning is. Not everybody goes out camping in September and October, but that's what people do. It's a natural thing that people do, and they don't even think about it. But that's what that is. Those are feasts. Those are feasts of God. So many people are right there on top of it, and they don't even understand. Anyways, that's just me saying that because I have to start cleaning out the house because my allergies are starting to get worse. Because everything's warming up. It's the joke. It was a meme many years back. I don't know how many years back, but it was one of those where it was winter, and there was somebody that was just walking through the snow, looking at looking at everything. It's like, oh, look how dead the trees are. Look how dead the trees are. There's no leaves on the trees that could cause me to sneeze, dust particles. Look at the flowers. All the flowers are dead. There's no, pollen that I have to worry about to be able to get to me. Look at the grass, or, there's no animals out for whatever it was. I don't know what it is. And he was like, it's a paradise. It's so beautiful. Which is exactly how it feels. You're just outside and you're just like, I can breathe. Oh, it's so great. I can breathe. But now that spring's starting again, it's like, oh man. But it only lasts until like summer. Once everything is grown out and ready to go, you're just fine. It's like you get that 3 to 4 month reprieve in the middle of spring and fall. Spring is terrible, fall is horrible. It's because you got all the dust and all the crap on the leaves. But then winter hits and you're just like, so nice. Anyways, let's go back to verse 5. So the city was besieged unto the 11th year of King Zedekiah. And in the 4th month, and in the 9th day of the month, the famine was sore in the city, so that there was no bread for the people in the land. God promised them famine. Especially if you're besieged for 2 years. See, that's how most battles are fought and won anyways. You just have to starve out your enemy. That's all you have to do. So once you come to a city like that, you just keep people from going in and out, eventually the food's going to run out. And once the food's run out, that's it. It's once people start starving and dying because they're starving, well, that's what happens. It's the same thing if you were to, I don't know, make internment camps for hostages for people that you've taken, and they all suddenly get emaciated and die rather quickly. It's because there's no food. Especially if you're losing a war. It's just the way it is, It happens. La-di-da! Verse 7. Then the city was broken up, and all the men of war fled, and went forth out of the city by night, by the way of the gates, between the two walls, which was by the king's garden. So now the Chaldeans were by the city round about. That is in... what are they calling? I don't want to say parentheses. What is it called? But it's in there. So that was actually in the book. Not colon. Oh God, I can't remember what the heck they're called. Parentheses. It is parentheses. Sheesh. Why is my brain not working? Parentheses. It's amazing. You can actually Google search just one parenthesis and it'll pop up and it'll tell you what it is. I don't know why there is a video of a black couple whenever you look up parentheses, but okay, it is what it is. Oh, it's a video on YouTube. Why? I don't know. Why? I don't know. It's weird. It's like trying to look up happy racial people. You know, happy black woman, happy Asian woman, happy white woman. It's interesting when you look up those terms. It's interesting what they will feed back to you. It really is. It's gotten better, but still, it's when you look up happy black woman, you wind up finding, it's just black women by themselves. They're doing okay. They're doing just fine. I think it works the same with happy Chinese women, and Indian women too. Just look up happy Indian women, happy black women, and you'll find that, it's just pictures of happy black women by themselves. Sometimes they're with a couple friends. You look up happy white woman, and it's a completely different story. You look up happy Asian woman, it's a completely different story. Just pointing that out, just throwing that out there. I'm not trying to cause any racial anything. I'm just saying that somebody pointed that out to me, and I said, oh, that's very interesting. Why is that a thing? I don't know. I really don't know. I wonder if that works for men too. I never really tried it with men, but it works with women. Google will surprise you. All right, verse 8. But the army of the Chaldeans, and I'm probably getting this video is probably getting pulled. I'm surprised the last video hasn't been pulled yet. This video will probably get pulled. I don't know. I'm speaking way too out of line on this stuff. Boy, howdy. Nico's going running his mouth. he's going running his mouth. He's already started. Verse 8. But the army of the Chaldeans pursued after the king, and overtook Zedekiah in the plains of Jericho, and all his army was scattered from him. Then they took the king, and carried him up unto the king of Babylon in Riblah, in the land of Hamath, where he gave judgment upon him. And the king of Babylon slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes. He slew also all the princes of Judah in Riblah. Then he put out the eyes of Zedekiah, and the king of Babylon bound him in chains, and carried him to Babylon, and put him in prison till the day of his death. That's some rough stuff. Back up to 8 again. But the army of the Chaldeans pursued after the king, and overtook Zedekiah in the plains of Jericho, and all his army was scattered from him. Then they took the king, and carried him up unto the king of Babylon, to Riblah in the land of Hamath, where he gave judgment upon him. And the king of Babylon slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes. That's rough. It's one thing that you lose your kingdom, and then you lose all of your sons. He slew also all the princes of Judah in Riblah. Then he put out the eyes of Zedekiah, And the king of Babylon bound him in chains and carried him to Babylon and put him in prison till the day of his death. Because that's what God told you was going to happen, is that you were going to fall by the sword, you were going to fall by the famine, you were going to fall by all these things because you just didn't listen. Jeremiah warned him over and over and over. Well, what'd they do to Jeremiah? They wanted to kill him. They wanted to mock him. They wanted to shame his name. They wanted to kill him. They threw him in prison. Never listened. Straight up told him, we are not going to listen to you. You're just a conspiracy theorist. I've said this before, that if somebody comes up to you, no matter who they are, and if they try to warn you that your life is in danger, I mean really warn you that your life is in danger, wouldn't you at least try to listen? I mean, at least just say, well, how? Wait, who's coming to kill me? What's going on? Why is this a thing? But people just don't. You know, that's the kind of crap that you only see in movies. People will hear somebody say that and they'll just, it's not true. You know what it proves, though? You know, they say that the CIA created the term conspiracy theorist so that people could, you know, automatically, you know, just disassociate themselves from anything that anybody says. What this proves, though, is that no, it's been there for a while. Is that it's always been that way. That people just would not hear it, even if they saw it. Is they just won't hear the truth. It's always been that way. The CIA may have invented the term conspiracy theorist in order to be able to help, you know, cause that. But people, if they don't want to hear it, they're not going to hear it. It's not going to come into their realm of thinking. They're going to fall no matter what they do. It's just sad. It's so sad. Verse 12. Now in the 5th month, in the 10th day of the month, which was the 19th year of Nebuchadrezzar, king of Babylon, came Nebuzaradan, which we've heard of before. Came Nebuzaradan, captain of the guard, which served the king of Babylon, into Jerusalem, and burned the house of the Lord, and the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem, and all the houses of the great men burned he with fire. And all the army of the Chaldeans that were with the captain of the guard brake down all the walls of Jerusalem round about. Then Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carried away captive certain of the poor of the people, and the residue of the people that remained in the city, and those that fell away, that fell to the king of Babylon, and the rest of the multitude. But Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, left certain of the poor of the land for vine dressers and for husbandmen. Also the pillars of brass that were in the house of the Lord, and the bases, and the brazen sea that was in the house of the Lord, the Chaldeans brake, and carried all the brass of them to Babylon. The cauldrons also, and the shovels, and the snuffers, and the bowls, and the spoons, and all the vessels of brass wherewith they ministered, they took away, and the basins, and the firepans, and the bowls, and the cauldrons, and the candlesticks, and the spoons, and the cups. That which was of gold, that which was of gold in gold, and that which was of silver in silver, took the captain of the guard away. We're going to have to reread that when we come back, because that one didn't come out right. Verse 20, the 2 pillars, one sea, and 12 brazen bowls that were under the bases, which King Solomon had made in the house of the Lord. The brass of all these vessels was without weight. And concerning the pillars, the height of one pillar was 18 cubits, and a fillet of 12 cubits did compass it, and the thickness thereof was 4 fingers. It was hollow, and a chapiter of brass was upon it, and the height of one chapiter was 5 cubits, with network and pomegranates, upon the chapiters roundabouts, all of brass. The second pillar also, and the pomegranates were like unto these. And there were 96 pomegranates on a side, and all the pomegranates upon the network were 100 roundabouts. All right. It's always crazy whenever they start talking about specific things inside of the temple. They mean something. I don't know what they mean, but they got to mean something. They go out of their way to describe these things to us. I don't know what they mean, though. Let's go back up to 12. I was going to say something there about pomegranates, but we'll get to it when we get to it. So back up to 12. Now in the 5th month, in the 10th day of the month, which was the 19th year of Nebuchadrezzar, king of Babylon, came Nebuzaradan, captain of the guard, which served the king of Babylon, into Jerusalem, which we have heard Nebuzaradan, he was the one that came in, and I think he was the one that wasn't he the one that set Jeremiah free? Or am I thinking about somebody else? I think I'm thinking about somebody else. I don't remember exactly where it was. And I'm looking, and I'm probably not going to find it immediately. Now that I'm thinking about it. Oh, wait. So Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, this is chapter 39. The captain of the guard sent, and Nebuzaradan, Rabsaris, all these other people, even they sent and took Jeremiah out of the court of the prison and committed him unto Gedaliah the son of Ahikam. Okay, there you go. That's where that is. So this is in the 5th month, in the 10th day, which was the 19th year of Nebuchadrezzar, came Nebuzaradan, captain of the guard, which served the king of Babylon, into Jerusalem, and burned the house of the Lord, and the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem, and all the houses of the great men burned he with fire. And all the army of the Chaldeans that were with the captain of the guard brake down all the walls in Jerusalem round about. Then Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carried away captive certain of the poor of the people, and the residue of the people that remained in the city, and those that fell away, that fell to the king of Babylon, and the rest of the multitude. All right. But Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, left certain of the poor of the land for vine dressers and for husbandmen. We saw that before, too, where they said, we will give you this. And I said, that's how you build nations. All the poorest of the people, you give them the land. And you say, here, this is for you. You take this. You build up this land, and you can have it. Just serve us, and we will give you plenty. There's a lot of guys, and it's becoming more and more, that are talking about how certain lands in America were taken that were actually run by black farmers, black people. And again, I agree with some of this, that there were very, very, very many black people that were in America before. There was not enough slave ships to be able to pull 10 million people across like the way that they say they are. I don't care how many drawings of ships that you have where you have 200 black slaves. I never believed that. It never sat right with me. And then they will tell you that only 30 to 40% of them ever survived. That means that you would have had to have had more ships going as much as possible. It doesn't compute. It absolutely does not compute. There were black people here in America before everything else. They were natives. They're not the mongoloid, brown-skinned natives. These were black people. Anyways, they were talking about the invasion of America the same way, where it was colonists coming over, taking the land away from these people, and then putting the poor white people that they had to work on those plantations. And that's how they built up their wealth. Now, I can't tell you that's 100% true. But when you were told that over 400 years, well, not even 400 years, 250 years, when you're told over 250 years that they brought 10 million black slaves from America, when they tell you that they could fit 250 per ship, that over half of them died on the trip, and that somehow they managed to get all of those people here and put them all to work, but then you tell us that by the end of such and such amount of years that they had grown to 10 million. And then you hear the stories of the plantation owners wouldn't let them breed, only selectively breed, so that they could, replace the ones that they had killed. It doesn't make sense. There's a gap of information there. Now, I've heard a lot, and I've heard it both ways. I've heard the story that I was taught in school. I've read the books. I've read about the Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad, and I've heard all the stories. I grew up in Florida. I heard the stories in Florida. And the teachings that you get down there are not the same. It's not that it's more racist, it's less racist. Because in Florida, they will teach you that the Civil War wasn't about racism. And it wasn't. It was about taxes, and it was about control. Control of the farms, control of the land, control of the way that the Southerners got to keep their money. That's what I was taught. I come up here and I tell people that, and they think I'm an idiot. They call me a racist. They say, well, what do you want to be a racist for? And, going to sit here and tell me that this wasn't about keeping slaves. And I'm like, even Abraham Lincoln said that if he could win the war without freeing the slaves, he would. They only wanted to free the slaves because it helped garner more. What's the word I'm looking for? Backing by the people to go to war with their own people. Nobody wanted a war. How do people inside of a country want to go to war with each other? Nobody wanted that. But they made up this whole thing about, we can free the slaves, we can make everybody happy. There were Northerners, Yankees. They didn't want to free the slaves. There were people do you really think that the people in Wall Street, the bankers, do you really think that they wanted to free the slaves? If there were even slaves to begin with? They wouldn't want to free the slaves. The money holders didn't want to free the slaves. Something else was going on. It's just another lie. It's just another lie that they invented just to be able to manipulate us and hurt us. And that's not trying to take anything away from black people at all. If it's true, then it was true. And I'm sorry it happened, but, I get it. And we get why it happened because, hey, God tells the chosen people of the Bible that they're going to have these things come upon them. What can you expect? But if they're lying to us, then we can all come together and figure out what to do here. We can all find out. We've all been lied to and manipulated, and we can start finding the truth. And if the truth says that there are evil people in this world that have done their worst to hurt and destroy us, maybe it might lead to something good. But no, it's going the exact opposite way. And they're telling us that we're all bad and terrible people, and we're all going to try to kill everybody else, and that everybody needs to fight against and war against, and it's all it's division, man. I'm trying to find the truth, and it seems to me that everything we've been told is not true, or at least it's missing there's a lot of suspect ideas going on there, and I don't believe it anymore. I can't believe it anymore. It's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. Because like I said, I grew up in Florida. We had a completely different understanding of the world. Maybe it was just the school system I was in. I don't know. We all got along as much as we could. I know I've said it before. My school was 30-30-30. 30% white, 30% black, 30% Mexican. 30% Mexican Puerto Rican, or whatever you want to say, It's you got along because it was like that. And then they gave us a completely different education than they get up here. I came up to Indiana and found out, man, everybody up here is racist. All of the northern states that I thought were supposed to be the most progressive and the most loving and caring people in the world, they're not. You can't come up here and joke around with the brothers. You can't. You can go down to Florida and you can joke around with anyone you want to. Hang out and say anything you want. You come up here and you say the wrong thing and they'll kick your ass. It's like, wait a minute. This is a completely different nightmare up here. What are you guys doing? I had to come up to the northern states to find out just how racist this country really was. It's insane. Where in the heck was I? Oh, the vine dressers and the husbandmen. Yeah, we were talking about giving the poor of the land, giving them the land so that they could take it over. That's how you create nations. That's how you get nations behind you. That's how dictators rule. 17. Also the pillars of brass that were in the house of the Lord, and the bases and the brazen sea that was in the house of the Lord. The sea is basically just it's like a table, kind of. I'm not going to look it up because we're going to keep going. The Chaldeans break and carried all the brass of them to Babylon, the cauldrons also, and the shovels, and the snuffers, and the bowls, and the spoons, and all the vessels of brass wherewith they ministered took they away, and the basins, and the fire pans, and the bowls, and the cauldrons, and the candlesticks, and the spoons. They even took the spoons, and the cups, that which was of gold in gold, and that which was of silver in silver. Now, there are a lot of italic names, or a lot of italic words there. Now, if we take out the italic words, which, again, the italics words are what the King James put into it to help make the sentences flow better. If you take it out, it says, and the candlesticks, and the spoons, and the cups, which of gold, gold, and which of silver, silver. So that which was of gold in gold, and that which was of silver in silver. It actually almost sounds better the other way. Took the captain of the guard away. Verse 20, the 2 pillars, 1 sea, and 12 brazen bowls that were under the bases. What is a brazen bowl? I have to know. Brazen bowls. Cattle, herd, oxen, brazen bowls. What? Brazen. What does brazen mean? Copper bowls, bronze bowls. These are idols. What are you people doing? They put idols in the house of the Lord. What are you thinking? The 2 pillars, 1 sea, and 12 brazen bowls that were under the bases. Wow. which King Solomon had made in the house of the... Well, there's your problem right there, because Solomon had brought a lot of other religions into it. So they had... No wonder they had idols inside of the house of the Lord. That's what he even said. This is what you brought into my... You brought these things into my house. Therefore you shall fall, because these things should not be in my house. There it is. This is... Even though this stuff may not mean anything, it's telling you something. King Solomon had made in the house of the Lord, the brass of all these vessels was without weight. It was without weight because, what, maybe they didn't count it because it shouldn't have been counted in the first place? Because, it shouldn't have been there. And concerning the pillars, the height of one pillar was 18 cubits, and a fillet of 12 cubits did compass it, and the thickness thereof was 4 fingers. It was hollow. Okay. And a chapiter of brass was upon it, and the height of one chapiter was 5 cubits, with network and pomegranates upon the chapiters round about, all of brass. The second pillar also, and the pomegranates were like unto these. Somebody, somewhere along the line, was talking about the pomegranates, and I cannot remember what they were saying. Something extremely specific about why pomegranates. And pomegranates are extremely good for you. Strengthen your heart, lower cholesterol, help you live longer. Benefits just beyond control. A pomegranate kind of looks like a big grape. Now this is speculation. Don't even quote me on this one. In the book of Enoch, I think it is, Enoch talked about seeing the trees that were in the Garden of Eden. All of the trees from all over the world. And he talked about the one specific tree that was the fruit that cursed man. The fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The fruit that Eve gave to Adam. And he said this fruit resembled a cluster of grapes. It was something similar to a cluster of grapes. So it wasn't an apple. It was something that looked more like grapes. Pomegranates look like grapes. They're not exactly perfect, but they look like grapes. They just like big old grapes. Big, And you hear about the different fruits when God told them to build the temple, make certain things this way, make certain things that way. And somebody somewhere along the line said, well, pomegranates are the holy fruit, the fruit that heals, the fruit that protects, the life-giving fruit. I don't know. I'm not going to say one way or the other. They were saying that there's islands where they find out that these people that live on this island, they're secluded, that they exist on pomegranates and some other fruit. I can't remember what it was. And these people are living for 125, 130 years. That they are the healthiest people in the world. They live the longest. Their memories are amazing. And it's because this is all they eat. This is their diet. So you hear about this, and it just makes you think. And I'm not going to say that it's true or not. This is just what I heard, and I cannot remember where it was, and I can't point you to it. But there's something there, when the Bible goes out of its way to tell you this was this size, this was that size, this had this specific fruit or something on it, maybe there's a reason. I don't know. Don't quote me on any of that. I'm just saying that there's something going on there. And it's all puzzle pieces, remember. We're just trying to fit these puzzle pieces together because everything just doesn't work the way that we were told. Some things do, but the majority of it just doesn't seem to work the way we were told. The second pillar also and the pomegranates were like unto these. Verse 23, and there were 96 pomegranates. 96 pomegranates on the side. And all the pomegranates upon the network were 100 roundabouts. Those numbers got to mean something too. I don't know what, but those numbers got to mean something too. Give me a second here. Hold on. Alright. Verse 24. And the captain of the guard took Sariah the chief priest, and Zephaniah the second priest, and the 3 keepers of the door. He took also out of the city an eunuch, which had the charge of the men of war, and 7 men of them that were near the king's person, which were found in the city, and the principal scribe of the host, who mustered the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land, that were found in the midst of the city. So Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, took them, and brought them to the king of Babylon, to Riblah. And the king of Babylon smote them, and put them to death in Riblah, in the land of Hamath. Thus Judah was carried away captive out of his own land. And this is the people whom Nebuchadrezzar carried away captive. In the 7th year, 3,000 Jews, and 23. In the 8th year of Nebuchadrezzar, he carried away captive from Jerusalem 832 persons. In the 23rd year of Nebuchadrezzar, Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carried away captive of the Jews 745 persons, and all the persons were 4,600. That's not a lot of people. That really isn't for as many as there were spread out among all of these places. That it was said that it was possible there were 3 million Israelites that came out of Egypt. And it was said that, most of them died in the wilderness. That there were probably a good 2 million that somehow made it to the promised land. But you had to think that they added people to it as well, because there were strangers that were coming in. I mean, come on. Solomon supposedly had 400 wives. So we're talking about millions of people just wiped off the map. All that was left was, where was it at? 4,600. That's a lot of death and destruction. And sadly, God warned them over and over, but nobody would listen. Let's go back up to 24, read it again. And the captain of the guard took Sariah the chief priest, and Zephaniah the second priest, and the 3 keepers of the door. He took also out of the city an eunuch, which had the charge of the men of war, and 7 men of them that were near the king's person, which were found in the city, the principal scribe of the host, who mustered the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land that were found in the midst of the city. Okay, so give me a second here. I'm trying to think of something. Says, what is next? 5, 6. It's 13. It's 14. I was just looking to see what the numbers were there. See how many actual people. It's like, so that's 60 plus 14. It's like 74 people that he took. So Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, took them and brought them to the king of Babylon to Riblah. And the king of Babylon smote them and put them to death in Riblah in the land of Hamath. Thus Judah was carried away captive out of his own land. This is the people whom Nebuchadrezzar carried away captive. In the 7th year, 3,000 Jews and 3 and 20. So 3,023. 3,023. In the 18th year of Nebuchadrezzar, he carried away captive from Jerusalem 832. So 832. Okay. In the 9th, in the 3 and 20th year of Nebuchadrezzar, Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carried away captive of the Jews 745 persons. 745. And the persons were 4,600. All right. There's numbers all over that. I couldn't even begin to contemplate how to separate all of that. But the interesting thing is, he didn't do it all at once. In the 7th year, he pulled out this much. In the 18th year, which means that they got to live there, they pulled out that much. And in the 23rd year, they pulled out this much. All told, there were only 4,600 left. Or at least that's who they took out. Because remember, they did leave some poor to take care of the land. So, I don't know. Somebody better than me could go through that whole thing and help you figure it out. Verse 31. And it came to pass in the 7 and 30th year of the captivity of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, in the 12th month, in the 5th and 20th day of the month, that Evil Merodach, that's what it says, Evil, Evil Merodach, king of Babylon, in the 1st year of his reign, lifted up the head of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, and brought him forth out of prison, and spake kindly unto him, and set his throne above the throne of let's try this again. And spake kindly unto him, and set his throne above the throne of the kings that were with him in Babylon, and changed his prison garments, and he did continually eat bread before him all the days of his life. And for his diet there was a continual diet given him of the king of Babylon, every day a portion unto the day of his death, all the days of his life. And then it just stops, and that's it. And that's Jeremiah. What happened next? It just kind of falls off. Now, I mean, there is Lamentations. Lamentations is supposedly written by Jeremiah, so we've got that going there too, but this just drops. So let's read this one again. 31. And it came to pass in the 7th and 30th year, 37th year of the captivity of Jehoiakim, king of Judah. Now, God said that it would last for 70 years. You would have 3 generations. Nebuchadnezzar, you would have his son, and then his son after him. So in the 12th month, in the 5th and 20th day of the month, 12th month would be somewhere around what we would call February or March. Because you have to remember the calendar resets in April. So it'd be about March, give or take. I'd like to narrow that down to the day to see when it was. But in that day, that Evil Merodach, I gotta look that one up. Holy smokes. Where are we at? 31. Evil Merodach. Evil Merodach. That's exactly how it says. Man of Merodach. What is son and successor of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Neo-Babylon. So this is the guy. Evil Merodach. That's crazy. Oh, but then it leads to somebody called Amel Marduk. Merodach, that's right. It's Marduk. Man of Marduk. This is a man of Marduk. That's right. How could I forget? He was the one that was, well, this says Mars. Also another name for Baal. For Bel, which is Baal. How could I forget that? Come on now. How could you guys let me forget that? Come on. In the 20th day of the month that evil Merodach, this guy was evil. I don't think evil means what it means now, but still. It just means a man of Baal. A man of Satan. King of Babylon, in the first year of his reign, lifted up the head of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, and brought him forth out of prison. He was king because everybody else had died. So it transferred down to him. And spake kindly unto him, and set his throne above the throne of the kings that were with him in Babylon, and changed his prison garments. And he did continually eat bread before him all the days of his life. And for his diet, there was a continual diet given him of the king of Babylon. Every day a portion, until the day of his death, all the days of his life. The diet of the king, the food of the king. What's the food of the king? The food of the king of Babylon is not the food of the Jews. It's not the food of the Hebrews. And remember, not even Daniel would eat the food of the king. He refused it. The food of the Babylonians was pigs. So the king of Judah, even though he was in captivity, he got pulled out of captivity, was given new garments, given a seat beside this man of Satan, this man of evil, and was fed food that God told him not to eat for the rest of his life. Seems to me that they're just falling right back into the practices that they were doing before. It's like their captivity has taught them nothing. Which, to be fair, ain't nobody gonna listen anyways. It's what God says will happen over and over and over again, is that you won't listen to me no matter what I say, no matter what I do, and it just keeps coming, it keeps coming, it keeps coming. And all I can do is just keep sending all this against you, but no, you don't want to listen to it. You're going to keep falling for their traps, falling for their evil. So there you go. That was Jeremiah. Do we want to read Lamentations? I mean, we might as well. I don't think it's that long either. Because I said I was going to read Ezekiel too, but Lamentations is supposedly also written from Jeremiah somehow. So it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Not only that, but it's also all prayers to God. It's also, Father, why do these things happen to us? Father, please help us. Father, it's all that kind of stuff. So yeah, let's go ahead and we'll read that. It's only 5 chapters. That's like a week. But yeah, totally. Jeremiah just drops. Nothing. It just goes up to a point and then nothing. That's it. I don't even know if was there any writings from Jeremiah in the Apocrypha? If I can spell it right. Jeremiah Apocrypha. I keep thinking there was, but there is a letter of Jeremiah, which is in the Apocrypha. The letter of Jeremiah, also called the Epistle of Jeremias in Roman canon. Well, as the 6th chapter to the book of Baruch itself is apocryphal. Well, somebody was pointing out that the Apocrypha was in the Bible, was in the King James from 16 whatever to 1880 something. It was in the King James. The Apocrypha was in the book longer than it's been out of the book. Now, I don't know what that tells you. Some people will say, oh, the Apocrypha is, it's bad stuff. You shouldn't be reading it at all. Well, who's giving you that information? Now, I'm not going to say the Apocrypha is right or wrong. I'm not going to say that it's stuff that we should be reading. You don't have to read it if you don't want to. It's just like Jasher, just like Enoch. You don't have to consider it canonical if you don't want to, but I'll tell you what, those books have information that you don't have. That they definitely don't have enough for you to put faith in them, but they have enough in them to show you that there was something else going on that maybe you ought to pay attention to. And I've read the Apocrypha. I've only read through it once, though. And I don't even think the translation I had was that good to begin with. But I've read through those. And I don't remember there being much that stood out to me. I don't have my book out with me. It's still packed up in a bag or a box. But, and I haven't read all of them. The book that I had only had like six books that were supposedly taken out, and there's many more than that. I don't know how many exactly were taken out, but that's what it was saying, though. So that the Apocrypha was in the Bible way longer than it's been taken out of the Bible. Maybe that means something. I don't know. And there are so many people that just want to be absolutely certain, absolutely 100% certain that the Bible is what it is. You don't get to change it. There's nothing more, nothing less you can do. All 66 books. All 66 books. And they talk about the number of the beast is 666. All 66 books. Freemasons wrote the King James Bible. Even I have admitted that. Even I have said that the King James is not perfect. Freemasons, a double 33. And you think you think that this is absolutely the uncontested 100% Word of God. There's more to it. Even your Bible says there's more to it. Even your Bible will go out of its way to say, isn't it written in the book of X? Isn't it written, doesn't the book of whatever say yada yada yada? Doesn't this say yada yada yada? Isn't it written that, this? There's other teachings that we don't know that they claim are lost to time. I say they're not lost to time. I say that mankind has purposely hidden them. I wish, I know Christ said something similar to it, but I absolutely wish Christ would have said, and man would also be hiding information from you. Even then it says that too, to a point. My people perish for the lack of knowledge. There will be a drought of the word, or a famine of the word, whatever it was, the famine of God's word. It even says that was it Daniel that wrote books, and he was told to shut them up until the end times? Well, you still got books coming. People think, oh, the book of Enoch was the book that, well, it's possible. It's absolutely possible. That happened however many years ago. It could be possible. It could be that we got more books coming. We don't know. This is not... I hear people say that, and I'm like, yeah, I could believe it to a point, but your Bible also goes out of its way to say, well, there's another book here, there's another book there, there's another book here. Maybe we should start looking around. We don't have to believe it just yet. I don't know. I don't want to be that guy to lead anybody astray. I still say that other people will say you don't have to read the books of the devil to know what evil is, and I agree with that. You shouldn't. You really probably shouldn't. On those same tokens, you should at least know what they're saying so that you can be as wise as the serpent. Because without that knowledge, you would not even know how they've tricked you into doing the things that you do. From this day to the rest of my life, I will say that even blowing out a birthday candle is considered witchcraft. I never even considered that as a possibility until somebody else told me, until I had to go read it for myself. I never knew. The only way that I found out is I had to go read it. It is not anti-Christ, anti-Christian, is that what you want to say? To at least read the Apocrypha and have an understanding. Some people think it is. It is not anti-Christian to read and understand Enoch, read and understand Jasher. It gives you an understanding of what else there is, but it doesn't hurt to look. Yeah? So, with that being said, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for coming around. I'm not going to point anybody astray. If you don't want to read it, don't read it. That's fine. I wouldn't mind seeing what this is, though, this book of Jeremiah. I've got a couple different ones that I've been buying. You buy them off of Amazon. They're only like $5 each, and they're just little tiny pamphlets. But they're lost books here and there. I bought a whole book of Apocrypha from, it wasn't a flea market. It was somewhere. I don't know what it was, but it was, just a little tiny paperback. I wouldn't mind getting my hands on one of the bigger King James that actually still has them in them. They still sell those, by the way. I know I've seen a couple of them that still have like Enoch and stuff in them too. I would not mind getting my hands on one of those either. But just to be able to have it, before we don't have it. there's a definite push right now. It's amazing. The push right now is to censor pop culture, which I find absolutely absurd. They're changing books. I mean, we live in 1984. If you didn't know this by now, they are changing books. They are changing words inside of Willy Wonka, or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. They are changing words inside of the Ian Fleming James Bond books. Somebody said it a couple weeks ago that now is most definitely the time to start stocking up on physical media. We already know that Disney's changing cartoons. We already know that they want to start changing movies. They want to start taking sections out of movies in order to appeal to certain people. We know they do it to songs. They've done it to songs all the time. Well, they'll just take out a certain part of a song. You won't hear it. Sooner or later, everything is going to be a service. Everything is going to be a paid service. Your Windows on your computer, your music that you listen to, any channel of anything that you watch anywhere, including books. There's going to be a push to stop printing books. That everything will become digital. Probably to help save the environment. So you won't have physical books. They already have said you will own nothing and you will be happy. You will not even be able to own a book. Everything will be digital. Once everything is digital, they can change anything they want. We've seen that happen. Even the smallest, most ridiculous things. People have been talking about old television shows. They put up seasons of television shows on streaming networks, but they take out episodes. They will purposely take out specific episodes so that they won't harm people. They say it might be for a copyright thing, or it might be for this, or it might be for that, but then you find out that no, they took out a controversial episode. So you don't get to see that anymore. But now they're actually going into cartoons and changing cartoons. The weirdest, craziest example that I can show you about that. I mean, they took out one of the references to the casting couch at the end of Toy Story. I think it's Toy Story 2. You know, when they do the bloopers at the end, they took out a reference. But there was another one in Lilo and Stitch, the cartoon. For some reason, they added stuff into that. It's really, really weird. And one of the places Lilo is hiding from her, I don't think it's from her, is it her sister or her, I don't know what the aunt, I don't know what the hell it is. I've never really sat down and watched that movie. The only reason that I even noticed that it was a thing is because somebody else pointed it out. But she's like hiding inside of a cabinet or something. And it's like a cardboard box in the original, but it's blank. There's nothing there. But in the new version, that cardboard box is now a pizza box. Now, for all those people that love to follow the whole pedogate thing, the whole Pizza Planet's pedogate thing, even saying that I think could get my video removed. That means something. Why would that be a change? They're not just taking things out because it's offending people. They're putting stuff in because of other reasons. So you can't trust anything anymore. And if they're going to do it to movies on a digital streaming platform, they're going to do it to books. They're doing it to a physical medium of books. They're going in, and all new editions will have those changes. This culture is out of control. Start going to yard sales. Start going to flea markets. Start going to places that they sell old stuff before the 2000s. Start buying it. If it matters to you, if it means something to you, if you want to hold on to that, thank goodness that we have started doing that. I've always said that we are the kind of people that would save, we're the home of broken toys, broken and forgotten toys. Is that even though it's broken and, half destroyed, we will buy it just to put it on a shelf, just to give it a place to go. But I do that for books too. Anytime I see a book that I want, even if I never read it, it's on my shelf. That way I have it. That way I know it's there. That way it's my physical medium. And once you buy it, once you have it, protect it. Protect it with all your life. Don't ever let them take it away from you. Because that's how tyrannies start. We live in a very, very evil and wicked place now. And they don't care anymore whether we know it or not. You have to protect the things that will keep you free. So that you can tell the people, you can tell your children, your grandchildren, other people's grandchildren. You can tell them, this is not the way it's meant to be. You have to keep that in mind. I'm going to go. Thank you guys for listening. I love you all. Take care of yourselves. God bless. I think I'm going to go let the dogs out. Maybe feed the dogs. Do the whole thing because my wife had to leave early. So you guys take care of yourselves. Jeremiah's over. Tomorrow we're going to do Ephesians. I don't even know which one it is. Ephesians 8. All right. There's only 4 more or 5 more of those too. All right. Take care of yourselves, guys. See you later.